strategy they teach in terms of integrating right side and left side of the brain is connect and redirect. And I love this method because, you know, it happens all the time. Our child, you know, loses their mind and they start crying or screaming or yelling, and they feel they can't do something, or something feels completely overwhelming to them, and they just can't even think logically in that moment. They completely lose it for the smallest little thing. So when that happens, it's easy for us as a parent to look at it and try to explain logically immediately, like, you know, what's wrong? Like, why can't you do A, B, C, or D? You know, I have a perfect example. Last week I had a little girl that was very frustrated with her homework, and, you know, the only kind of words that come out is, I'm stupid, I can't do this, this is so hard, I can never do this, and just really getting, you know, more and more into the emotionality of it and the anger of not being able to complete the homework. And so when this happened, the only thing that I asked her is, you seem to be really overwhelmed, do you need a hug, right? And she said yes, and I hugged her. And from that point on, we were able to redirect and say, all right, I know it looks really hard, but let's try and see if we can figure it out together, okay? I have to say honestly, it's not that it solved it on the spot, but she definitely was a lot more open and a lot more able to shift that mindset than if I came in and only gave her the logical piece. Because I did try to give the logical piece initially, to see what level she was at. But when I saw that it was starting to enter too much emotionality, then I understand immediately, like, I need to appeal first to the right brain, and then once I appeal to it and I calm it, I'm able to enter the logical brain. Because if not, there's zero access to that logic. The child can't even go there. It's almost like, you know, there's an override from the right brain with all the emotions that it completely overshadows everything else that's going on. So the first thing that we want to do is always think about connect and redirect. So whether that means, you know, by stating the emotion, like, I can see that you're frustrated, I see that you're upset, I can tell that you're overwhelmed, are you overwhelmed? Asking those questions and really be sincere about it, because if you're not sincere about it, they're gonna feel it and it's not gonna shift. Or just offering a hug, offering to be there. So that also helps. It helps calm the system. Again, when we can, you know, tap into the emotion and name the emotion, it really helps them settle. Once we can get the brain to settle just a bit, then we can enter more access into the left brain that has more of that logic. Then the second strategy that they teach in order to integrate right brain and left brain is one called name it to tame it, okay? When you name an emotion, research has shown that it actually calms the circuitry of the brain to be able to just name that emotion. So especially if it's emotions like fear or anger, when they're able to be named, that in itself helps the body calm immediately. And especially for young children, this is really important because number one, not only does it help them validate their own emotions, which we spoke about that a lot in our other classes, and it's a huge important piece because we want them to trust their own emotions, but at the same time, when you can name it for them, they start having the words that attach to the emotion that they're feeling. So now once they name it, they can actually be a lot more calm. It helps calm the body, okay? It's almost like it gives them like a framework of where they're at. And when they can get that, then they're able to contain it a lot more. So always name the emotion for them if they can't name it themselves. And another technique within this that they describe that I think is also really important is that when your child has experienced something that's either traumatic or, you know, whether it was very fearful or, you know, a trauma in their life, it's really important that you help them tell that story. And telling the story is what helps integrate both sides of the brain. So the logical side of the brain needs to make sense of the story so that it could be integrated and it could calm the system. And you can help them do that just by being able to name the emotions, you know, right brain, being able to name the emotions, it helps bridge right brain and left brain. So when little kids, for example, have gone through, let's say, a car accident or something scary happened at school, you know, even if it's just a fire drill, run them through what has happened. And this is a technique that they use a lot also if, let's say, a child has some kind of fear towards something that is completely illogical. So let's say a child has fear of going to school because they were at school previously and they threw up and it was such a big ordeal and they got so scared and they were so sick and now they're afraid to go to school. So something they weren't afraid of before becomes fearful. You have to try and help them integrate that story and make sense of it and understand it so that it could be classified in their brain and then it gets tamed. So that's about retelling, helping them retell that story, and you fill in the gaps with information so that they can actually integrate. So a small child that, you know, is afraid now to go to school because they're gonna get sick, when you can tell the story in a sequential order of what can happen when they did get sick, that the teacher did take care of them, they called mommy and daddy to come pick you up and you were always safe, and I know you felt this way and you were probably feeling very scared when you threw up, whatever it is, but you name the emotion and you tell them what, you know, happened logically. Even if they have to repeat it over and over again, that's okay. It helps them integrate that story and able to tame that fear or that illogical emotion. Now, the more we use techniques like this, either name it and tame it or connect and redirect, or what it does is that your child gets more practice on they themselves learn how to integrate both sides of their brain. Okay. So when we're parenting and that we're thinking, for instance, of disciplining, right? And that instead of entering different situations like this where you are helping your child name an emotion or helping your child, you know, tap into the emotion and then redirect them, so connect and redirect. When you instead choose the approach of overpowering your child and let's say yelling at them and saying, you know, this is not how we act, now it's time to do homework, if you're not going to do it now, I'm not going to help you, right? If that's the approach we take instead, we also lose the opportunity for your child to actually learn how to do this connection and redirection on their own and being able to integrate their brain on their own so that when these situations come up again, they have the tools more and more to be able to do that on their own. Okay, so you want to keep that in mind when you're parenting, because again, we don't want to lose opportunities to be able to teach such valid skills.